Good morning, fifth graders. We are in chapter 9 today, lesson 1, and we are thinking about rounding fractions. For this is just a warm up, so to speak, because the real goal of this whole chapter is to add and subtract fractions. We've been practicing this for quite some time, so this should just be a reinforcer and not something that's brand new and scary. But before we get started, grab your math notes because I have some things I want you to put in there. Okay, so see this key concept here? You don't necessarily need to write all the words, though if it's helpful to you, please do so. But I want you to write round down, draw the picture of the 10 frame, which represents 1/10, and then this part right here rounds to 0. Okay? If the words are helpful to you, go ahead and write those too. But what I want to see in your math notes is this part from each section. Okay? It rounds to half of about half of the 10 frame, or the half of the, what I should say is, let's see here, half of the denominator is present in the fraction, then you would round to half and then round up. If the numerator is almost the same number as the denominator, then you would round up to 1/2. Okay, as you notice in that 10 frame, almost the entire 10 frame is colored, right? So it makes sense that 9/10 is almost 1/2. Okay, I also want you to write these review definitions or examples, really. A benchmark fraction is a fraction we can easily see or visualize, such as 1/2. I know that if mom shares the cookie, I should cut it in half, right? That's a benchmark fraction. We've been working with it a long time and we're very familiar with it. And then a unit fraction just means one part of the whole. So you will always see a 1 in the numerator's place for a unit fraction. So all of this right here should go into your notes. All right, once you pause me, get that done. Once you're done, scroll, come join me up here at the top, okay? All right, so we can use benchmark fractions such as 1/2 to round a fraction to 0, half, or a whole, okay? And why would we want to do that? It just gives us a better handle on what that fraction means, okay? If we're talking about 15/16 and we don't realize that's almost 1/2, that's going to make things really difficult for us, okay? So let's look at the example. A poison dart frog is 2 inches long. Oh, that's tiny. This is equal to 2/12 of a foot. Why 2/12? Well, because there are 12 inches in a foot, right? Is 2/12 closer to nothing, half, or 1/2? So we are going to use a number line. We're going to graph 2/12. The first thing we need to know is that what is half of 12? 6. So 6 inches is half a foot, right? Okay, so 6/12 is halfway. So this would be 0/12, and 1/2 would be 12/12, right? So let's graph 2/12. Well, this is 1/12. Oh, here we go. This is 2/12. So here's 2/12 right here. So what is 2/12? Oh, so what is 2/12 closest to? Is it closer to 0, 1/2, or 1/2? Well, it's 1/2 away from 0, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4 away from 1/2. So clearly, 2/12 is almost nothing compared to a foot. So it's closer to 0, which means it's the same as 0 feet. I mean, does that mean that the frog is non-existent? No, it really exists. It's just that, well, why do we measure it in inches instead of feet? Because it's almost no feet, so we choose 2 inches. All right, so let's move on to example 2. We're going to round 4/9 to 0, half, or 1/2. Well, here's a tricky thing. What's half of 9? Yeah, some of you did that really fast in your head, and some of you said, Miss Munyon, no. Okay, and that's okay if you did. So I've drawn out 9 cookies here. So I'm going to color in half. And I know when I get to 4, that's the tricky part, right? okay, because I have 4 and 4. That's half of 8, though. 4 is half of 8. Then, same as we were just talking about, I need to share the last cookie, right? What happened here? Oh, here we go. I need to share the half cookie. So basically that means that 4.5 is half of 9. And we wouldn't typically write a fraction that way, but we're going to for right now because it helps us to visualize what 1/2 is. 4.5 is half of 9. So 0 ninths, that's 0, and 9 ninths is 1 whole. So where do we put 4 ninths? Well, this would be 1 ninth, and then 2 ninths, and then 3 ninths. So here is 4 ninths right here. So would you say that 4 ninths, oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. The numerator in 4 ninths is 4, which is very close to 4.5. So 4 ninths rounds to half, or 4.5 ninths. So, okay. So, halfway between 4 ninths and 5 ninths is 4.5, right? Halfway between 4 and 5 is 4.5. Or you can think, what's half of 8? 4. So what's half of 9? 4.5. All right, let's try some more. All right. It says graph each fraction on the number line, then state whether each fraction is closest to 0, half, or 1. So there's 5, 6. What's half of 5? Oh, it's an odd number. It doesn't break in half evenly. What's half of 4? 2. So what's half of 5? 2.5. Okay. 2, here we go. 2.5. Oh, my bad. Oh, I can't believe I just did that. I hope you guys are all laughing at me. Okay, so it's 5, 6, not, I don't even know where my head was. 5, 6. What's half of 6, guys? It's 3 sixths. Okay, so there's 1/2 and 3 sixths are equivalent fractions, right? So this is 0 sixths and this is 6 sixths. Okay, so we need to graph 5 sixths. So here's 1 sixth, 2 sixths, 3 sixths we already did. 4 sixths, here's 5 sixths right here. 5 sixths. So what do you think? Is 5 sixths closer to 1 whole or 6 sixths, or is it closer to 1/2? Well, it is 1 hop away from 1 whole and 2 hops away from 1/2. So clearly 5 sixths is about the same or congruent to 1 whole, also known as 6 sixths. Okay, how about 5 eighths? Well, first of all, what's half of 8? 4, right? So our 1/2, our middle fraction, is 4 eighths. So this would be 0 eighths, and this would be 8. 1 whole is 8 eighths. Okay, so let's graph 5 eighths. Here we have 1 eighth, 2 eighths, 3 eighths. And by the way, if you're feeling comfortable with graphing these fractions, do you need to write in every single one? No, that's unnecessary. Okay, 4 eighths, and then this would be 5. Oh, that's our fraction, 5 eighths. There it is. So is 5 eighths closer to 0, 1/2, or a whole? Well, it's 1, 2, 3 hops away from 1 whole and only 1 hop away from 1/2. So clearly 5 eighths is about the same as or congruent to 1/2. Okay? If you are not comfortable with this yet, please by all means continue to really be thorough about drawing out your number line to figure it out, okay? If you're feeling comfortable with it, you can do less with the number lines, but I recommend that you still at least demonstrate your knowledge of why you picked what you picked. So maybe a reduced number line. So maybe you have, for fifths, you have 2.5 fifths, 5 fifths, and 0 fifths. And then 2 is about right here. 2/5 is about right here. Okay, that would be maybe acceptable. 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on a second here. 1/5, 2/5, 2.5. There we go. So that would be an acceptable amount of work to show your logic. Okay. Could you do it another way? We saw a 10 frame earlier, right? So could you oops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then shade in 2/5 to show what? Okay, so have fun with it. Maybe work with a friend, as long as you are on task, right, guys? Okay, bye.